That did it. Yeah, I don't know why this. I don't know why the mic wasn't selected. Well, I mean, I've heard a lot of things about Streamlabs always messing up, but I guess that's just an example. All right. Now that my audio is fine, I can see it now. Now the audio mixer is moving. Um, that should have fixed it. Let me know if y'all can hear me. I'm pretty sure you can now because I can see the thing before I start. Appreciate it. I'm gonna make you Tariq. Hopefully you stay. I'm pretty sure you're the Tariq I know about. I'm gonna make you a moderator. So so when crazy people come in talking crazy, you can kick them out. All right. Video's titled uh, "This is the Uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca," and I got that from the Quran that Noble Dryly gave us. So let me pull that up so you can see it on the screen. If you don't know, there's a lot of free information on the website riseofthemoors.org. A lot of free information. Video I did, I think, last week. I went over one of the 22 pages worth of information that I added regarding uh, who Moab is and who Lot is. And there is a lot of confusion regarding religion. And this isn't anything new. Just like Prophet Noble Darley said, since a lot of the movement was geared towards religion and religious questions, the Morse Holy Temple of Science adopted the name Morse Science Temple of America and adopted a religious affidavit or filed a religious affidavit at City Hall. And still today, you know, there's religious controversy, and the prophet wrote something on that. If it wasn't him, then someone around him wrote something regarding our religious controversy. And it's unfortunate because when we look at things from the perspective that the prophet told us to, meaning from the perspective of love instead of hate, we can see how religion is one, but religion is only one because the creator is one. That's the only reason why it's one. And I'll go into a little bit more of that as we talk today. Inshallah, as they say, if I remember to do so. Also, here, this is from Hermetic.com. This is one of the, well, this is a free version of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, divinely prepared by Prophet Noble Drali. And I've said multiple times, and this isn't my personal opinion, that there's a difference between a prophet and a messenger. Although messengers are both messengers and prophets. So a messenger comes with a book. They come with a message, right? A prophet comes with a warning alone, but messengers also come with warnings, right? So during the time of Abraham, Abraham was both a messenger and a prophet, and his nephew Lot was just a prophet. He wasn't necessarily a messenger because he didn't come with a book. He didn't come with a direct message. He came with a warning. He warned the people of Sodom and Gomorrah to change their ways. But in addition to changing your ways, the messenger comes with direct, specific instructions. As an example, when Abraham came and said to his literal father, "Stop worshiping idols, or you will be punished," that as a warning. but he also instructed them on how to worship Allah alone. So that's the difference between someone with a message and someone with just strictly a warning, hey, don't do that, right? And again, it's like, to try to make it simpler, a mailman is a messenger, right? Someone with a specific duty. Someone sent that person, right? A warner can almost be anybody. Hey, be careful, right? So that's a rough, a very rudimentary explanation of the difference between a prophet and a messenger, right? And that's important because, one, context, and two, the problem with transliteration of text that are not originally in English, right? Someone's asking about specific cases. I have no idea. I'm not those people. I don't know those people personally, so I can't answer that. I don't like to talk on things I don't know the truth of or much about. But anyway, if you read, this is chapter 45 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, or the Holy Quran of the uh, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, because again, it changed its name. But most of the time, it's referred to as the Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, as opposed to the Holy Temple of Science. Right, and we can see within chapter, where did it go? Chapter 45, where it says, this, meaning this book, is the uniting with the Holy Quran of Mecca, meaning another book. Right, because Moors will argue, well, this book is spelled with a Q. Right, and I'll do it again. I'll show you, because it's absurd. That's an absurd statement. Right, so they'll say that the prophet's not talking about this Quran. I'll show you again, because it's spelled with a Q. He's talking about the one that he wrote, which is a logical fallacy, because why would he say this book is united with itself? It would just be the book. It wouldn't have to be united with anything, because it would be itself, right? Like when two people enter a holy matrimony, those two separate individuals become one. They don't become one with themselves, they become one with each other, right? So here's an example of how the same book spelled with a Q is also spelled with a K. Right, and you can see this is not the Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. They're two separate books, but they're united. Right? And today we're going to talk about how they are united for the teaching and instruction of all Moorish Americans. And there's also something that the Prophet wrote regarding his historical message to leaders. Let me find it for you. If I can spell. Moorish leaders' historical message to America. Let's see if I can find it. This is it. Right, so he talks about, and then again, this is also on the back of the 101s. I don't feel like getting up. But he talks about where his authority comes from, the Quran of Mecca. And we have to look at the dates. Prophet Noble Ali, November 1925, went to the Islamic conference hosted by Egypt under the command of Sultan Abdul ibn Zayed, Sultan Abdul Aziz ibn Saud Saudi Arabia once he conquered, or not conquered, but united Saudi Arabia. And then in 1926, his Quran was published, right? And also we see that from the different House resolutions from Georgia and Illinois, that Prophet Noble Drew Ali got the title El Hajj. You can only get that title El Hajj from Mecca in Saudi Arabia. There's no other way to obtain that title, right? Also, again, this is Moorish Leaders' Historical Message to America. I believe this was written by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because he talks about the aims and objects and rules of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And then he goes into the history organized as the Moorish Science Temple of America in 1925, right? And then changed the name, right? Moorish Temple of Science, or Moorish Holy Temple of Science. So someone has redacted information, to the Moorish Science Temple of America, 1928, right? And then he died in 1929. But let me zoom in. I keep forgetting. Right. He's saying that he's inspired by the lofty teachings of the Quran. He's not inspired by his own book that he prepared for Moors, right? And then he specifies that we have it as the revealed word of God, right? And we foster the principles of its teaching amongst our members. This is our religious privilege as American citizens, under the law of one of the greatest documents of all time, the American Constitution. The Mohammedan religion is the least appreciated and probably the most misunderstood of the world's greatest religions. So we already know, if he's talking about the Mohammedan religion, he's talking about Islam as revealed by who? Muhammad. It's not that complicated, right? This is especially true in our Western world. Try to understand what Muhammad stands for and some of his teachings and some of the things it has contributed to the world. So try to understand what Mohammedanism stands for. I know I read that wrong. And for some of the things it has contributed to the world. So it's an obligation on all Moors, right, to try to understand what Islam is, what it stands for, and what it has contributed to the world, right? Muhammad was the founder of the Mohammedan religion. So now the Prophet is being so clear you can't misunderstand him. What is Mohammedanism? Well, Muhammad was the founder of the Mohammedan religion. It originated 13 centuries ago on the Arabian Peninsula. So now he's telling you the things that these people practice here is Mohammedanism. And that Mohammedanism is what we're teaching to our members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. These are not my words. These are the words from Prophet Noble Drew Ali, right? Where the streams of commerce and culture meet and mingled in the Middle Ages, right? There, the religion was established in the unprecedented short period of 20 years, and unlike many other religions, without the aid of any royal patronage and support. Buddhism had pretty sure someone's editing this. Ahsoka. Judaism is Joshua. Christianity is Constantine. But Mohammedanism had no person of royal rank and power to assist in its establishment and spread. Now, what's important about this right here, streams of commerce and culture meet, we know that Prophet Muhammad was married to Khadijah, who was rich. Rich from doing what? Engaging in commerce. We know that Abu Bakr was also rich from engaging in what? Commercial commerce. And we already know about the silk trade from China to Afghanistan, which is why there's been wars in Afghanistan, because it's on the way to and from Asia as a commercial port, basically, to Mecca, to Egypt, to Palestine, to Algiers, to Tunis, to Tripoli, to Tunisia, all the way into Al-Andalus. So this is why Islam was able to spread so fast. Because when you're dealing with commerce, right, you're always dealing with people that do shady business, right? That's always an issue within commerce, which is why, as an example, Hammurabi's code exists to regulate commerce, and the Uniform Commercial Code exists to help foster some type of good dealings with commerce. But at this time, people were just doing whatever they want without regulation, and those individuals who had uh, a lot of men in their family were able to, you know, foster large military-like units and bully people, right? But with the coming of Islam, Islam commands, it's in the book, it's in the Quran, it commands that when you trade with people, engage in good dealings. When you enter into commercial agreements with people, and this is all in chapter 2, in the second chapter, you write down those agreements so that way you don't forget. And if there's people amongst you who know how to read and write, it's their obligation to write down these transactions in these agreements. So now you're talking about the establishment of attorneys or people that understand commercial law, contract law, because they know how to read, right? So, and it's also a command to give people their proper measure. So if you have a pound of food and your agreement was a pound of silver, you don't jip that person. You don't cheat them out of their money. So it was a command on Muslims, all Muslims, that you do good business with people. So everyone else who's so used to being robbed and cheated out of things, when they see that, wait a minute, these Muslims in particular, they are adamant about not doing those things. Well, I want to do business with them. Let me look into this religion that commands good dealings because I'm a businessman. I'm providing for my family. This just makes sense to me. And this is part of, and this is documented. This is why Islam was able to spread without any monarch, because it was the common people that benefited most from this. Just like when we read the Quran that Prophet Noble Drali gave us, when Isa or Jesus or Yeshua bin Yosef was speaking to people, he was amongst the robbers and the criminals and the people that needed him the most, the people that needed correction the most. And this let me pause right here. The people that need correction the most, because there were several mores online on Instagram saying that we should not be judging each other, and being a Moor has nothing to do with your character, which is absurd. Because one, the only reason why anybody today who was labeled Negro, black, colored, etc., knows that they're Moor is because of this book right here, right? And in this book, the Prophet says, as an example, learn to love instead of hate, which is what? Developing your character. In the book, it says that their mothers, these lessons are for your children. For what? To develop their character. Their fathers use these lessons to get your household in order. For what? To develop character. Inspire them with the holy zeal to do what is right. That is character development. Both of these books are about character development, being a better person. That's what these books are about. So for any more to tell you that we shouldn't be judging each other, they're absurd. What about rapists and pedophiles? Are we not to judge them? We just, okay, even though we know it's wrong, just do it anyway because we're not supposed to judge each other? That's ridiculous. If we see individuals doing wrong, we should be able to correct them. Because when we see our children doing wrong, guess what we do? We correct them. And what does that do? It helps develop their character. That's why Prophet Noble Drali said what? We shall foster the principles of its teachings amongst our members. Didn't he say he's trying to make us into better citizens? What does that mean? That means developing our character to that which is good. That's what that means, right? And obviously, if you're engaging in commerce the right way, proper dealings with man, then other people are going to say, oh, wow, this person is a benefit to society. That's what being a good citizen is. Being a better or betterment to society, to your family, to your spouse, to your children, to your loved ones, and to your neighbor, that's all of what religion is about. right? And then some of the book also deals with punishment for bad behavior, and it degrees it there are degrees in severity proportional to the crime, which is where the modern United States law comes from. That punishment for the crime must be proportional to the crime itself. This is why within Islam you have punishments for civil things and punishment for criminal things, right? And they stark, or they're different in severity, right? And then there's particular things on a more spiritual or esoteric level that allow certain things to a certain degree without punishment. And this is where, as an example, Allah says that, and I'm just going to paraphrase, it's from a hadith, if I'm not mistaken, that Allah will not punish you for the deeds that you've done in private. But if you make them public, saying, hey, I did this last night, hey, I did that last night, or you go on live on Instagram and you brag about doing bad things, or you're recording yourself doing bad things, then you'll be punished for those things, right? And there's another hadith, and it took me up until recently to figure out what did he mean by this. But there was an individual that was speaking to Prophet Muhammad saying, hey, I engaged in fornication with this lady. And the Prophet walked away. And then the guy just kept hounding him, saying, I committed this crime, I committed this crime. And the Prophet said, what is wrong with you? Right? And he was asking, like, why do you want this punishment? If what you did was in secret, and by the grace of Allah, he kept it secret, why are you telling anyone that you did it? And since you admitted to this crime, now you have to be punished. Right? So and that in and of itself only has to do with the mercy of Allah. Right? Not to condone that type of behavior and say, as long as you do it in private, it's okay. No. It's dealing with the nature of man itself. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we do wrong things. And it's best to not brag about it. Right? And this is in side note, but not side note, because it's related to the issue I brought about correcting character. Because the thing I posted online about correcting character was, it was an image of an Asiatic person smoking weed. I put a fez on him, and I said, Moors be like, happy holy day, I follow the Prophet. Meanwhile, there's smoke coming out of this person's nose. And the Prophet said, be like I the Prophet, I don't drink and I don't smoke. But he gave the caveat saying, if you do, don't stop all at once because you might hurt yourself. And if you must drink, drink at home, right? So that's three things. One, don't do it. That's the first thing. Do not drink and do not smoke. Two, if you do and you're trying to quit, don't do it cold turkey because of medical reasons. Wean yourself off. And number three, if you must do it, meaning in the transition of you doing it to you trying to stop, and obviously we have this human nature to fight the lower self, to fight the urges to let me drink. You're dealing with that fight. Do it in the privacy of your own home. Don't record yourself doing it live, chilling with the homies, posting pictures with bottles. Why? Because your Prophet said don't do it, right? And when you make it public, you're encouraging that type of behavior. You're promoting that type of behavior, which will affect somebody else. And if you don't believe me, look at how our people acting and look at rap music, and you'll see just that, right? So the Prophet is all prophets are trying to protect the people at large from immoral behavior. Now, caveat. In these posts that I make, I never said if you drink and smoke, you're not a Moorish American. I never said that. But people that like to be argumentative and make it seem like I'm implying that what I'm not. And they'll argue things like, well, the Prophet also said this, and they'll deflect. When all I'm doing is, if they can promote that which the Prophet says do not do, then I can comment on that promotion. If you do it at home in private, there's no way for me to know that you do it at home in private. And then, therefore, there's no way for me to say anything about you in particular because you're doing it in private and I wouldn't even know about it. But when I see Moorish Americans with titles such as Grand Sheikh or anything Sheikh related, when they're live and you see smoke going by their screen, what is that? Or like I see on Instagram, Moors saying Prophet Noble Drew Ali and they're a Moorish American and they live by the five principles and they're smoking weed. What are you doing? If you must do it at home in your own privacy. Do it privately if you're going to do it. It's unlawful for you to do it according to your prophet, which Prophet Noble Drew Ali said all true Moorish Americans will and must obey the laws as laid down to them by their prophet, which means it is a law. Do not do it, right? According to your prophet. That means don't do it. But obviously, we're human beings and we have a host of emotions, a host of desires. You know, the Quran says we was created weak. The Quran that Prophet Noble Drew Ali explains that we're weak, explains the inconsistency of man. Obviously, you're going to have a transitional period between you trying to quit and then you quitting. So in that transitional period, do it at home. The law is simple, the law is clear, and the law injures no one. The problem is people get defensive and they think I'm attacking them when it's really their own inner thoughts attacking themselves. And then instead of admitting it, they rather lash out at their brother, right? And to help sympathize with people. Again, this is not me bragging about sins. It is permissible to talk about the sins you've committed so long as it's in the form of a lesson in promoting not doing it, right? So as an example, I used to drink and I used to smoke, and then I stopped. So if I can stop, you can stop. And if you think that I think that makes you a bad person, well, then that means I'm a bad person. You understand what I'm saying? So either way, we're on a plane of equality. So don't get upset. It's just, again, if you are a Moor, some of the things that I'm saying doesn't even apply to people. So some of the things that I'm saying don't even apply to some Moors, right? I know Moors who drink privately. They don't promote it. They know it's bad. It's something that they're dealing with and that they struggle with. Do I say, oh yeah, I can't even talk to you because I'm better than you, or I can't be your friend and help give you advice? No, I just speak like a human being. Hey, you can get through this. Words of encouragement, right? And that's what we owe each other as Moors if we're living by the first principles. Anyway, back to this. Today, this religion is acknowledged by nearly 250 million souls. Obviously, he's not talking about Moors pretend that there's Islam and then there's Islamism. He's not talking about this fabrication that modern Moors are inventing of this separate religion. He's talking about Islam, period. There's only one, right? And obviously, he didn't have 250 million members within his temple. So he's not exclusively talking about the fake Islam that Moors are trying to promote. He's talking about the true one and only Islam, right? And he's trying to get us into that fold by doing what? By doing what? Where is it? By teaching, we shall foster these principles, or the principles of its teaching amongst our members. So let's look up foster. What does foster mean? Foster, to supply, nourishment, bringing up, to feed. So we're supposed to be teaching these things, feeding this knowledge to our people, to Moorish Americans specifically, amongst our members, meaning members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, who are who? Moorish Americans, because it was specifically established for them to teach them about their nationality and their divine creed. Their divine creed, which is the old time religion, which is the only religion, the first religion, is Islam. What is Islam? Islam means peace. How do you obtain peace? By submitting to God. Who was the first man? Adam. What was his religion? Submission to God. That's why it is the old time religion. Moors are just, don't be confused by the utter fabricate. They're just making things up. Don't be confused by that. Right? So it was revealed on the Arabian Peninsula, Mecca, right? Let's see. Right, talks about the Renaissance, the Moors in Al-Andalus, the Alhambra. What did these people practice, right? The Moors or the Mohammedans. So he's equating Moors with Mohammedans. So if we're Moors, we're supposed to be Mohammedans. Now here's a caveat. Muslims, those who submit to Allah, don't like the word Mohammedan because it implies the connection of equating Muhammad with Allah in the way Christians equate Christ with Allah, right? So be wary of that. But obviously, this was around 1913, 1929, so the language was different. There were less. What's common now wasn't common then. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, he equates the Moors as Mohammedans, and who is Muhammad? Muhammad was the founder of the Mohammedan religion. Where? In the Arabian Peninsula. So we know exactly where this place is. We know exactly who this man is, and we know exactly what the religion is. It's the same religion that's happening right now in Saudi Arabia, in Mecca to this day, right? The Moors were the most ingenious and industrious, of the subjects of Spain. Obviously, we know it's Al-Andalus, and I believe he talks about that. Right? Their expulsion from Spain in 1610 was one of the chief causes of the decadence of that country, for both agriculture and industry fell into decay after their departure. And when did slavery start? Right. Mohammedanism makes no distinction between high and low, rich and poor. It is like the sky; it has room for all. And here's the important part: the Quran should be of interest of all, or to all readers. It is the Bible of the Mohammedans. What book is he talking about? What is the Bible of the Mohammedans? This. Yeah, but Jamal, that has a Q in it, and he spelled it with a K. Oh, okay, fine. Then this one. The Bible of the Mohammedans, ruling over the customs and actions of over 200 million people. It is a work of importance whether considered from a religious, philosophical, or literary point of view. So either way, the Prophet is commanding all Moors to read this. What does should mean? Oops. Should. It's an obligation. That's imanonline.com. The etymology of should mean it's an obligation. What ought to be? Shall. Let's look up shall. Shall. Under obligation. To be under obligation. Duty. It is your duty as a Moorish American to read this book according to your prophet, right? Now, let's just be clear. What's obligation mean? Obligation. A binding pledge, commitment to fulfill a promise or meet conditions of a bargain. Duty, responsibility. A binding, literally a binding. To bind. To put under obligation, oblige. To bind by oath, put under moral or legal obligation, devote. So the Prophet is commanding you as a Moor to read this book. Someone asked a great question. Why did Islam split in the 1100s in Iran? The same reason why the Moorish Science Temple of America split after the Prophet died. So after the Prophet died, there were disputes amongst who are the rightly guided caliphs. And I'll leave it at that. There is a certain word. So within the Quran itself, as revealed by Prophet Muhammad, it says that there shall be no sectalism within Islam. So the fact that people split, they created a sect. And then Prophet Muhammad also revealed in Hadith that there will be 72 sects within Islam, which is prohibited within the book itself. Right? So that's why. It's just human beings disputing over what was revealed to them, which is exactly what the book says don't do. When you read the Quran, it says it in the book that you only dispute with each other after you were revealed information. And then it also says, why do you dispute about things you know nothing about? So again, it's dealing with this issue that we as human beings have, right? And this is why we have this book to guide us. To guide us what? Away from that which is bad and to that which is good. Right? Again, this is why Prophet Noble Ali said, we're teaching these principles. We shall foster the principles of its teachings amongst our members. So we shall give the principles of this book to our members. We shall teach them. We shall feed them this information. We shall instruct them on this information. Right? Why? Because our forefathers did the same thing. Who are our forefathers? The Moors and Al-Andalus in Spain. Right? And then again, the Prophet further commands that we read the book. The word should is a command. It's not a suggestion. It's a command. Right. The Moorish Science Temple of America has received some opposition and criticism. In the main, the opposition has come from certain Christian ministers. Again, there's typos in this. I just pulled it up just so you can see the information's out there. They have expressed themselves as being opposed to our propagation of the Mohammedan religion. Our propagation of the Mohammedan religion. What religion was Prophet Noble Drew Ali propagating? According to his own words. The Mohammedan religion. And what is the Mohammedan religion? Okay, let's go back to his words. The Mohammedan religion is from the founder, Muhammad, and it originated 13 centuries ago on the Arabian Peninsula. Where is that? Saudi Arabia and the holy city of Mecca and Medina. That's where. Precisely where. Right? So, the Moorish Science Temple of America is supposed to do what? What are they supposed to be doing? Propagating the Mohammedan religion. It is a sad weakness in us, after all, to oppose our fellow men from their religious belief, and if there are angels who record the sorrows of men as well as their sins, they certainly know how many and deep are the useless sorrows that spring forth from such opposition. Possibly love and time will cancel our ancient hatreds in this regard and prove that in mankind tolerance is better than unwarranted opposition. In connection with our religious aims, so Moors say we're not supposed to be religious. Okay, well, why is the Prophet saying that? In connection with our religious aims and beliefs, we must promote economic security. The preaching of economic security among us is by no means as widespread and intensive as the circumstances demand. Now, how does Islam promote economic security? It's called zakat, or zakah, or zakat. That's how. If you don't know what it is, look it up. Right? Read carefully the doctrines of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It contains our hopes, aims, rules, and articles of religion, and articles of religion, and articles of religion, and articles of religion. More saying we're not supposed to believe in religion. Well, why is your Prophet saying this then? Every member should have a copy. All right. So now let's go into the actual teachings in the Qur'ans, and I'm going to refer to my notes that I have in my phone. A lot of which is already in my book, in this book, Muslim versus Muslim, that I prepared to show you the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca. It's sold out right now. Physical copies are sold out, but you can get a PDF version of the book. All right. So now we're going to go into some of the actual lessons. And I wrote, like I said, I wrote some notes down in my phone. So I'm going to refer to my phone. We'll go to 15, 28 to 29. 15, 28 to 29. And again, translations may be different in different Qur'ans because of the translator. not because the book has changed, because the Arabic words are the same, but what people like when you see the word create slash will, or indeed, or a human being, or clay, that's the English translation. So sometimes people translate a different word that could, in connotation, mean something else. Like this right here, black mud. The word black isn't even here at all. This word literally is mud. The word black is aswad. Aswad is not here at all. This is sali. This is min, meaning from. And this is hamal, meaning mud. And this is musnun, right? So this just means mud. So the word black, aswad, is not even here. Watch this. Aswad. Aswad. Aswad is not here at all, right? So that's the issue with translation. It's subject to the translator, right? This is why it's important. Well, this is why I would encourage Moors to learn Arabic, so that way you can see that for yourself. Just like you can see this right here. All of a sudden, this one's done. You can see this right here. Oh, wow. It's loading. Right. Khatam. Why is it doing that? This word right here. Khatam. Khatamim. This first word, khatam, means seal. Now watch this. So this is literally saying a seal Allah upon hearts. So Allah put a seal on their hearts. Right? That's what that's saying. Khatam does not mean last. Allah put last on their heart. Does that make sense to you? Oh, Allah put a seal on their heart. Right? So now let's go to this. It might be 30. It's probably, I think it's 30. Let me double check. Of course, here we go with the loading. Let me go to 30. Let me second guess myself, see if I'm right. There we go. I don't know why this is being slow all of a sudden. Again, remember the word khatam means seal. Yeah, I was right the first time. Oh, I was wrong the first time. Where is it? 30. That's not it. Where is it? I always do this. Numbers look the same to me sometimes. Here's 30. I'll just do this. Make it simpler. $33.40. Ah, see? I was doing 33. So I was wrong the first and second time. $40. There it is right there. So Muhammad is not the father of any of you men, but is the messenger of Allah and the seal of the prophets. Right? Rasulullah wa khatam al-nabiyin, prophets. So Rasul, messenger, and prophet. He's the seal of them. Does that mean last? Does seal mean last? No, seal mean in English, the word seal is a sign. So he's the sign of the prophets. And I went into detail on what that means. Right? So that's why to learn the language is important. Khatam does not mean last. It means seal. And another example of that is again chapter 2, verse 7. Khatam. Anyway, 15:28 to 29. 15:28 to 29. All right, let's read this. Remember when your Lord said to the angels, "I'm going to create a human being from sounding clay, molded from black mud. So when I have fashioned him and had a spirit of my own creation breathe into him, fall down prostrate to him." So the word spirit appears right here. Ruh. Ra, wa, ha, and aleph is attached to it. But most of the time you won't see an aleph attached to the end of it. You'll just see ra, wa, and ha. Ra, right? That's the shadda. That's a dakhma, which makes the U sound. This is a wa, which is a W, and also used as a vowel to make the U sound. And then this is ha. Excuse me, ha. So ruh is spirit. That means from. Min means from. Fi means in. Right? So Allah created man, right, from mud, from dirt, from clay, which scientists believe that life started in clay, which is a new thing that scientists are saying. And Allah clearly says that he breathed into man his own spirit, and everything must prostrate to us. Right? So let's see if this exists in the Holy Quran that Prophet Noble Ali gave us, because he said this is the uniting of them. So let's see if they say the same thing. Chapter 1. Let's see where it says that Allah put his spirit into man and where Allah commanded everything to be under us. Let's see. The bodies or soul are finite things, but man himself is not the body nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. Let's read that again. Allah fashioned man with his own spirit, breathed into us. Okay, so we are a spirit, and that spirit is part of Allah. Okay, that says that says the same exact thing. Spirit man. Okay, that says the same exact thing. Okay. Hear now, ye worlds, dominions, powers, and thrones. Hear now, ye cherubim and seraphim, ye angels and ye men. Hear now, O protoplasm and earth and plant and beast. Hear now, creepy thing of earth, ye fish that swim, ye birds that fly. Hear now, ye winds that blow, ye thunders, and ye lightnings of the sky. Hear now, ye spirit of fire of earth and water and air. Hear now, O everything that is or was evermore to come. For wisdom speaks from out of the highest plains of spirit life. Man is the thought of Allah, and all thoughts of Allah are infinite. They are not measured up by time, for things that are concerned with time begin and end. All right, let's see where he tells things to bow to us. So spirit man, so again we see this spirit from Allah as a seed of Allah, held within himself the attributes of every part of Allah. So we see how spirit comes from Allah because Allah is spirit, right? The spirit, let's read it again. So we have fashioned him, meaning man, and had a spirit of my own. The word creation is not here, is not in it, right? Ruh, right? Into him of my spirit, right? So fall down in prostration to him. So again, the spirit is from Allah, right? Now let's see. Man is the Lord of all the planes of manifest, of protoplast, of mineral, of plant, of beast. So if we're the Lord, no wonder why he's telling them to what? Fall down in prostration to us. Why? Because we get our sovereignty from him. The word sovereign in Arabic is sultan, and it explains it in the Quran that we get our sultan, our sovereignty from him, which gives us dominion or lordship over this earth. That's the only reason why we have dominion over this earth. Because without the spirit, we would be an empty body, empty flesh. We would just be nothing. But because of this act alone, we have any type of dominion here. Period. Right? Now let's go to this. In relation to that. And remember, wa'id means and when said your Lord to the angels, right? I'm going to create in earth al-ard khalifa. What? What's khalif? Means successor. So if we look at a trust, right? A trust has to deal with the transfer of estate or property into the management of someone else, into the trusteeship of someone else. Most trusts that are related to families are because of lineage and bloodline, because they come from the grantor. So the only reason why we have any type of lordship on this plane, any semblance of lordship on this plane, is because Allah said himself he's going to create a caliph, a successor on earth, al-ard, earth, ard, earth. That's the only reason why. So far, these books are saying the same exact thing. Now, let's continue to read. They asked Allah, will you place in it someone who will spread corruption and shed blood while we glorify your praises and proclaim your holiness? Allah responded, I know what you do not know. He taught Adam the names of all things, and then he presented them to the angels and said, tell me the names of these if what you say is true. They replied, glory be to you. We have no knowledge except what you have taught us. You are truly the all-knowing, all-wise. And Allah said, O Adam, inform them of their names. Then, when Adam did, Allah said, Did I not tell you that I know the secrets of the heavens and the earth, and I know what you reveal and what you conceal? And remember when we said to the angels, prostrate before Adam. Man is the Lord of all the plane of manifest, of protoplast, of mineral, of plant, of beast. Chapter 2, verse 136. Right, and this is part of the articles of faith. So you have the pillars of Islam, and then you have the 6 articles of faith, right? And let's do this. Excuse me. Right? And I love this verse. I memorize this verse. I say it in prayer all the time. But I'll read in English first, and then if you want to learn a little bit of Arabic, I'll help you. I'll just read in Arabic. We believe in Allah and what has been revealed to us and what has been revealed to Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, and his descendants, and what has been given to Moses, Jesus, and other prophets from their Lord. We make no distinction between any of them, and to Allah we have submitted. Okay, well, let's read the Quran that Prophet Noble Ali said. Let's see if it says something similar. We honor all true and divine prophets. So, in order to honor them, you would have to believe in who they believed in. You'd have to believe in them themselves, and you wouldn't argue of who's better than who. Do you believe in your great grandparents? You should. If you didn't, then you wouldn't exist, right? Do you believe that one great grandparent was better than the other? No. Would you make that argument? No, you wouldn't. Right? So there's a similitude, right? And this is it in Arabic, right? Amanna billahi wa ma unzila ilayna wa ma unzila. For those of you who came to some of my Friday classes, you should know a little bit about the Arabic alphabet, right? So this right here, this symbol right here, is again a dhamma. This is a U. This makes the U sound. This is a qaf. This makes the Q sound. But I skipped this part because this just says say. Kulu means say, right? A manna. So this shadda means two. So this is a meme. This is alif, meme, noon. So A, M, N, and then A. This symbol right here that looks like a little W is called the shadda. It means two. So you say this letter twice. So man, na, right? This is a ba. This is a B, right? This is called a This is called a fatha. It makes the E sound, right? So it's in this symbol right here means you carry the sound into the next letter. When there's an alif, lam before a shadda, you don't say al. You go straight into the letter that the shadda is above, right? So it's billahi, right? Most of the time when you see this ba attached to a word, it means in, right? So billahi means in Allah, right? So amanna billahi, meaning we believe in Allah. Wa ma wa, this is the letter wa. It makes the W sound. It by itself means and. Ma, mim, aleph means what. So wa, ma, and what. Unzila mean revealed, right? So aleph, dhamma makes the A or this vowel a U sound. Nun, zay, right? So this is N-Z-L, unzila, right? So this is the E sound, this is the A sound, this is the U sound, right? Those are the three vowels, three short vowels, right? Right? So we believe in Allah and what was revealed, ilayna to us, And what? Wama unzila ilena, excuse me, ila to ib, right? So when you see the symbol right here, that means you stop. So Ibrahim, Abraham, wa Ismail, right? So sometimes meme looks like this for some reason as opposed to this, but that's just in the writing. So Ismail, this is an ain. It's also used to make vowel sounds. Ismail, right? Wa ishaq. So this is seen, makes the S sound. Hawk. This makes the Q sound. Isaac, right? Wa Yaqub. This is ya makes the Y sound. Yaqub, right? Again, the wa with the dhamma makes the long U sound. Yaqub. Wa ila. Wait, excuse me. Wa or wal isbati, right? So W, this symbol tells you to go to the next letter, and this symbol right here tells you to stop. I don't know the names of these symbols. I just know it's wal asbati. So it says and the descendants. Some translators say that this means and the tribes, or this means tribe. So asbati. This is a ta. There's no English equivalent, so I can't really help you with that one. But it's ta. So while isbati, I'm not a native Arabic speaker, so I can't really pronounce this how it's supposed to be pronounced, right? Wa, we already went over this, and what? U, right? The wa and the dhamma makes the long o sound. U, ti, this is a ta, and this is an aleph. Sometimes, again, aleph looks like this. Utia, right? Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Utia, Musa, Moses, Musa, wa Isa, Jesus, wa ma utia al nabiin, excuse me, an nabiyun mirabihim. So and what? So what was given to Moses and Jesus, and what was given to the prophets, min rabihim, from their Lord, rabihim, la nafarik ubain ahadim minhum wa, and this is a ha right here. So this is a noon. Sometimes I don't know why this is like this, but sometimes they'll put a letter on top of another letter, which is very difficult. But this is saying nah nula muslimun, right? And again, if you've been coming to my Friday classes, you know what the letters are because we go over the alphabet. Anyway, so this verse is telling you to believe in all the prophets and what was revealed to them. Same thing. We honor all true and divine prophets. What does honor mean? Let's look up honor. Honor, glory, renown, dignity, distinction, office, reputation, beauty, excellence. Let's look at renown. What's renown? Renown, fame or glory attaching to a person, place, reputation. So we would have to believe in them. And if we believe in them, we believe in what they brought. All right, let's go back to honor. I think that's essentially it. Honor, to do honor, show respect to, in a verb, to show respect to. So we have to respect them. We have to respect their esteem. We have to welcome them. We have to dignify them. We have to respect their teachings. We have to accept. Right? So, those two things are in the Quran. Let's go to was I at? Well, back to the creation of man. I think I skipped something. So back to the creation of man, chapter 36, verse 1. Verse 1. Weak and ignorant as thou art, O man, humble as thou oughtest to be, O child of the dust. Right? And we already seen we were created from mud. What is wet dust or wet dirt? Mud. Right? We were created ignorant, and then what? Allah taught our ancestor Adam all things, and then of course the information was passed down to us. So we were created without any knowledge. We were created ignorant. We were created from dust. Who raised us? Who raised us to infinite wisdom? We just seen that in the last verse that we read, not this one. We talk about the creation of man. Let's go back to 30. When Allah said he was going to place us in the earth as his Khalif, and he taught us all things. So where do we get our infinite wisdom from? Where do we get it from? Were we ignorant? Obviously we were, because we were created from nothing. We were created from nothing. We were taught all things. By who? By Allah. All right, let's see. Where else? Why is consciousness given to us alone? And where did it come from? Where did it come from? It is not in flesh to think. It is not in bone to reason. The lion knoweth not that the worm shall eat him. It has a brain, doesn't it? We have brains. What makes us different? Who made us different? Who's this he that is talked about in this verse? Well, obviously the person who created man. Our Lord. Rabuka, our Lord. Who's our Lord? Who's our Lord? Right, so I apologize for skipping that part. But it says verse 1 to 9. So let's read number 2. Right? Fearfully, wonderfully were we made. Praise therefore thy Creator. I'm going to put the antics down. Let me keep it serious. Praise therefore thy Creator with awe, and rejoice before him with reverence. Why is him capitalized? Because, and I'm doing this for a reason, because more say we come from our mother's womb. Our mother's not a him. And if she was a him, it wouldn't be a capital H. The only time him is capitalized is when it's referring to Allah as him. Read any religious book and you'll see that. Right? So who are we supposed to praise? Alhamdulillah. What does that mean? All praise due to who? Allah. Rabbil Alameen, the creator of the universe. Who's the creator? Who created us? Or creator of the worlds. But Al-Ard means earth, so. Anyway. Why of all creatures are we the only ones that are erect? Meaning our spine. Wherefore to admire, but that thou mayest adore there in thy Creator. Who created the animals, and who created everything else, and who created us? Why is consciousness given to us alone, and where did it come from? Something is added to us. What was added to us? What was added to us? What was added to us? That wasn't added to animals and plants and trees. Where was it? What was added to us that wasn't given to plants and trees? Or the angels? Or the jinn? The Spirit of Allah. That. Something informs thy clay. Clay? Something informs our clay? We were created from clay? Higher than all is the object of thy senses. Behold, what is it? It is eternal. Who's the only thing that's eternal? Allah formed thee. So who's your creator? Who is the creator that you're supposed to give reverence to? Who is your creator that you are supposed to admire? Who is your creator that you are supposed to give praise to? Allah. Superiority and command were given thee over all. Didn't Allah command the angels to bow to us? And of his own breath did he communicate to thee the principle of knowledge. Isn't that exactly what he says? He breathed into us his own spirit, therefore bow down to us. Why? Why? Because we are of his spirit. That is the only reason why. What else? We're already told. What were we told? That we were going to be his what? His Khalif on earth. And then what? And then he taught Adam all things. Which is what? Of his own breath did he communicate to thee the principles of knowledge. Know thyself and the pride of his creation. What is the pride of Allah's creation? Us! The line uniting divinity and matter, spirit and flesh. Behold, a part of Allah himself is within us. Which means what? Allah is before us. But time never was when man was not. But Allah is not subject to time. This is why you can't comprehend it. No finite thing can comprehend things infinite. Right? Carnal men don't want the light. They love the dark. And when the light shines in the dark, they comprehend it not. But purity in life, men do not comprehend. Men comprehend the inner life at what they see and do. There is but one Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. That's why Moors don't understand the separation of us from Allah, while there's also a unification of us with Allah. They don't understand it. So they just say, we are Allah. No, you're not. You can't make the sun rise or set. You don't even understand. You don't remember anything from before you were born. So how are you Allah? How are you alone Allah? They conflate Allah and man are one with Allah is man. No. Or man is Allah. No, that's not what the book says. At all. All right? And we see this very thing, that there is but one Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible, in the Quran itself, which Prophet Muhammad tells us, if you want to recite a third of the Quran, this is a third of the Quran. Hu Allahu Ahad. He is Allah the One. Let's see if that reminds you of something. Let's see if that reminds you of something. Hu Allahu Ahad. Allahu Samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakula kufuwan ahad. Hu Allahu Ahad. Why is it not going down? Allahu Samad. If it'll go down, I can read the rest of the verse. I mean, I just recited it, but I want you to see it for yourself. And for some reason, it's not doing it. Hu Allahu Ahad. He is Allah the One. Allahu Samad, the sustainer, needed by all. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. He has never had offspring, nor was he born. Some say he does not beget, nor is he begotten. Wa lam yakul lakufu awan ahad. And there is nothing comparable to him, which means what? He is incomprehensible. He is eternal, meaning he was not born. He is incomprehensible. Allah is incomprehensible, and there is nothing comparable to him. Allah is incomprehensible. This is why Moors are conflating the two arguments, that Allah and man are one because we have a portion of him, and that's the only reason why we're one, with man is Allah. That's not the same thing. And this is what they do. They'll conflate that we have what? Attributes. Just like you have attributes of your parents, both parents. You have attributes of your grandparents. But are you yourself your mother and father? No. Are you yourself your grandparents? No. But you have their attributes. Let's look up attributes. And we've all heard this. Oh, you're just like your daddy. Oh, you're just like your grandma. Oh, you're just like so and so. These are attributes. Qualities belonging to someone or something. Why do we have qualities that belong to Allah or that are related to Allah? Why? Because he breathed into us his spirit. That is the only reason why. So learn the distinction between you and man and Allah, and then learn the similarities. Allah is the creator of all things. Are we the creator of all things? No, but we can create some things. Allah is the creator of life, all life. Can we create all life? No, but we can create life. It's called reproduction. But we only have that ability because of who? Allah. It's that simple. You were not present when the world was created. You are just a thought of Allah. That's all you are. That's all you are. When Allah said, I'm going to create man, kun fayakun, we were created. Which means before the thought happened, we didn't physically exist. But since Allah transcends time, spirit man always existed. And that's where you are being confused. Because Moors are confusing you. Not because it's confusing, it's because Moors are confusing you. And this is alluded to in the Quran itself. Where, and I'm paraphrasing, where Allah tells us that he gathered all of mankind. Meaning people that haven't even been born yet. Meaning you, meaning me. We were there. And he said, who is your Lord? And we all said, you. Allah, you are our Lord. And then we come here and we forget. But when Allah speaks about it, it's as if it happened right now. No one can say when it happened. Likewise, Allah talks about Qiyam al-Yawm, or the day of standing, or judgment day, when he's speaking to everybody. How is he telling us what happened or what's going to happen when it hasn't happened yet. Because Allah transcends time. We don't. He does. Right? And this is where Moors are getting confused. They're getting confused by this. Because Moors aren't breaking it down in a way to comprehend. All this is explaining is the creation and nature of man in 3 different stages, 4 different stages. One as a thought, one or the next stage as a spirit, then that spirit vibrating not so fast to acquire a soul, and then that being the ether upon which your spirit communicates with what? Your physical body, the flesh. And then it talks about, look, right? How your soul was formed in your brain, right? So again, your soul is but the ether of the spirit vibrating not so fast. Ether is a substance which allows electromagnetic activity to go to and from different things, right? So the soul is the means by which the spirit actuates this physical body. That's what this says. It was formed in our brain, right? Now, when you study the hypothalamus, when people say the crown chakra, which they don't even explain, right? In the pituitary gland, the hypothalamus sends and receives signals to and throughout the body in the endocrine system, and it communicates to the pituitary gland, which is called the master gland, on what to do next through a series of capillaries or veins called the hypophyseal portal. That's what it's called, where all decisions are made. If you're angry, the body will say, hey, or your hypothalamus will say, hey, there's an increase of this hormone that's producing anger. What do we do? What does the body do? Pituitary gland, tell me. So that's your spirit in charge saying, just relax, control yourself. Or if you don't control yourself, you're just hitting somebody in the face. That happens in your pituitary gland communicating with the hypothalamus through the hypophyseal portal. That's where this happens. That is how your spirit communicates with the soul to actuate your body. It's not just the crown chakra and it's just the chakra and spiritual and it's purple. No. It communicates via hormones, via biochemistry at certain frequencies to communicate with other organs that are receiving at that frequency. This is why certain hormones don't go to your genitals as opposed to going to your kidneys or your heart. Right? This is what this book is about. This is what these books are about. So Moors, when they see that, when they see this, the soul is but the ether of the spirit vibrating not so fast, they don't even know what that means because they don't comprehend the layers of us. That's just the first 4 layers, let alone your physical layers, let alone your skeletal system, your nervous system, your endocrine system. Right? So this is why Moors are being confused. Let me see where it says. Let me show you where it says it. Right. Right. The plane of soul is but the ether of the spirit plane vibrating not so fast. So again, what is ether? Ether is a compound, right? Dealing with chemistry. Let me see, where's it at? Oops, spelled it wrong. It's like purer and finer than air and fire. I forgot where we found it at, but it talks about the transmission of electromagnetic not Easter. Right? Ether is a theoretical universal substance believed right, to act as a medium for transmission of electromagnetic waves. So again, oh, I'm sorry, you can't see that because my camera's in the way. Oops, I moved the wrong thing. We'll do this. All right. Ether is a universal substance believed to act as the medium for transmission of electromagnetic waves. So our soul is the substance by which our spirit communicates and actuates our physical body through electromagnetic waves. And when you look up hormones in the relationship that I just briefly went over between the pituitary gland, the hypothalamus, and the endocrine system, you'll see that they communicate with hormones at specific wavelengths. So, for the Moors that just read this without explaining it to you, or I shouldn't say the Moors, those people who have titles that are just saying these things without explaining them to you, is why a lot of Moors are confused. Right? So again, the soul is but the ether of the spirit plane vibrating not so fast. And in the slower rhythms of this plane, you are giving life manifest, the physical body. The perfumes and the odors. Don't you have a musk? Don't you have a smell? Can't you smell things? This is your five senses, and they're all physical things, right? And these soul attributes became a body. Right? So we are, and this is, we are perfected man, but we are not perfect because we were given a carnal nature that we do not defeat until we die. And this is where, again, where Jesus talks about how he was able to transcend into light once his physical flesh died. So you cannot beat your lower self until you die. It is an everyday constant battle until you die. So all these Moors talking about they are themselves their higher self, drinking and smoking weed. What does your spirit gain from inhaling carbon monoxide, which is toxic to your heart? What about being intoxicated? Toxic is pure of heart. They're just reciting rhetoric with no substance. Right? So now let's go to this right here. 428. We are perfected man, not perfect. There's a difference. Our creation was perfect, meaning what Allah created was perfect. We ourselves were not. And I got, and some more was commenting on Instagram also saying that we are perfect because I said something about relationships, how, we're supposed to be in relationships. That's what we were created for. Part of the reason why we're created is to be in a relationship. And we have to be an adult and realize that we are not perfect, nor is our spouse, so we shouldn't expect them to be perfect all the time. This individual's response was, we are perfect. And then I said, well, is a pedophile perfect? And he said, essentially, yes. I disagree because of the standard that was established by the creator of all things, not my own personal standard, but the standard that was created by the standard that was created by the creator of all things has determined that when someone does something like that, they need to go, which means they're not perfect. To even rationalize that behavior as reasonable or acceptable or okay is in itself wrong. For them to even do that is in itself wrong. So if it's wrong, it can't be perfect. It can't be complete. because the word perfect means complete. So we are completed in our creation, but we are not complete in our character. We are not complete human beings as far as being perfect and infallible. That is not how we are created. We are created weak, and I'll show you here in the Quran by both prophets. Because they're not reading the full book in context. They're taking little excerpts and saying, oh, yeah, this is the full. No. Humankind was created weak. Watch this. Weak and ignorant as thou art, O man, meaning we're weak. How can something be perfect and weak at the same time? It can't be perfect and weak. It can be perfected and weak, but not perfect and weak. When a baby is born, it is perfected. But then it develops into a full adult body. But it itself is perfected. It has all the organs, all the muscles, the skeletal system, all the things it needs to function. It is perfected. We have everything we need to function. We are perfected. But then we need to actuate that function. We need to actuate ourselves. And that is not perfect. How do you know? Well, the book from our prophet says we are weak and ignorant. And then it talks about how we were created. How our creation, let me see. It talks about how our creation was an ugly one. I believe I read it earlier, but you get the point. Let's move on. Let's look at this right here. While this loads, I'm going to read. Someone asked, so chakras are hormone glands. Chakras represent the point of an organ, right? It shows the points of different organs in the body. Those organs or glands communicate with hormones because we ourselves are biochemical creatures. The way we eat food and break down food is a biochemical process. The way our neurons fire off to break, our neurons rest at negative 70 millivolts, and there's an action potential point that must be reached, and the only way that is reached within the soma or body of a neuron is when there's enough potassium and calcium ions to create a positively charged soma to then send a signal throughout the axon, which goes over I went over this before, the myelin sheath and all that stuff to help send signals from here to here fast, right? All of this is happening in our brains via a biochemical process. This is why we need to eat, because we need to add potassium. We need to add calcium in order for our brains to function. Everything we do me speaking is a biochemical process. You watching this is a biochemical process, right? So we are biochemical in nature. So it's important to study chemistry, and that's how you would know smoking is bad for you, because there's not one thing positive about carbon monoxide being in your body. In fact, when people die in fires, most of the time it's not because they were burned, it's because of carbon monoxide poisoning. They were suffocated to death. Why? Because in your blood, there's something called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin carries what? Iron ions. Why does it have iron ions? Because oxygen binds with iron ions. So when the blood is being sent or pumped from your heart to your lungs through cellular diffusion, the oxygen ions go past your tubules. I can't say that word. Which is small bronchioles within your lungs. You have your this is where bronchitis comes from, right? A bronchioli is a small part of your lung on a microscopic scale. So you inhale, that air goes to your lungs, or that oxygen, which is 21% oxygen, goes to your lungs. Your blood, and this is why blood turns red, because the iron in your blood. Hold on 1 second. Yo, I'm live right now.
Huh?
I'm live right now.
Oh, my bad, my bad.
That's
On
all right.
YouTube?
Yeah. Lucha says peace. I know. I'm not gonna say nothing. I should expose you. No, I'm playing. All right. So again, biochemistry. The blood cells in your vein, in your capillaries, right? So let's say this is your lung, and this is your blood cell, right? There's layers of tissue that separate them, but through cellular diffusion, which means things are traveling through cell walls and stuff like that, or the membrane of your cell. The oxygen transfers from your lungs to your blood and attaches to the iron ions. That blood then gets pumped throughout the body, goes near whichever organ or muscle needs that oxygen, and then because of an imbalance of positive and negatively charged areas, that oxygen then gets again cellularly diffused or transferred to that muscle or organ that needs that oxygen. It then gets pumped back to the heart to be pumped back to the lungs to be reoxidized. So when you put carbon, which carbon is the building block of all things, and you burn it, it becomes carbon monoxide. That is poisonous to your heart. When you inhale that, it is going to your heart. It doesn't go anywhere else. It has to go to your heart. There is nothing beneficial about carbon monoxide being in your heart. So when you burn tissue, when you burn metal, when you burn skin, when you burn paper, when you burn plants, when you burn cannabis, when you burn whatever the cannabis is rolled in, it is creating carbon monoxide. Period. It does not create that. Period. So when you inhale that, it is poison to your body. That is biochemical. That is not my personal opinion. That is not my religious belief. That is a scientific biochemical fact. So for the Moors claiming they're God, they are Allah, and that they're the spirit, that means you don't need it. Don't get mad at me. What are you mad at me for? You don't need it. When you were 1 year old, did you smoke weed? No. When you were 2, did you? No. When you were 3, no. When you were 4, no. When you were 5, no. When you were 6, no. When you were all the way up to when you did it, you didn't need it. So instead of justifying, oh, but it's good for you, it's not good for you. The biochemistry behind it proves it's not good for you. And if you're a scientist, like Prophet Noble Ali commanded us to be, Moorish Science Temple of America, then you would already know carbon monoxide is not good for you. The lower self desires it, and this is why you justify it. Period. Because if it was for medicinal purposes, you can take it any other way. Now, am I saying you're a bad person if you do this? No. No. And the only people that think that are the people in their lower self that want to be combative. I'm giving you the scientific breakdown of what happens when you smoke it. It creates carbon monoxide. Let's look it up. What is carbon? I spelled it wrong. I'll just do this. Boom. Is carbon monoxide created when you burn cannabis? I spelled cannabis wrong. Who cares? Now you may not agree that it creates more carbon monoxide than smoking tobacco, you might not agree with that. And that's fine. But it does in fact create carbon monoxide. So now let's look at this. Carbon monoxide. Serious tissue damage caused by breathing in large amounts of carbon monoxide, a poisonous gas. This can cause headaches, nausea, and dizziness. Oh, that's probably why the rappers be like, I'm smoking on that gas. Carbon monoxide poisoning occurs when carbon monoxide builds up in your bloodstream. All right, enough about that. This was not about cannabis. This was about how we're biochemical creatures. I was just using that as an example. Again. And see, that's a good response. I'm working on improving. That is great. And you don't have to admit about any guilt. You don't have to admit to us or anybody about anything. Just hear what I say. That's it. Just hear what I say. If it's trash, throw it away. If it's useful, take it, analyze it, do whatever you will with it. You don't have to admit that you smoke. You don't have to do that. You don't have to say you're guilty of anything. You don't do that. You can acknowledge, okay, I understand what this is doing now. Okay, I understand that's bad. Let me work on that. Period. That's it. That's all you gotta do. If you smoke, does that mean you're not a moor? No, that is absurd. I would never make those type of statements because that's ridiculous. Again, the only reason why I publicly speak about it is because Moors are publicly doing it. So if you're making it public, don't get mad when it's subject to public scrutiny. Just like when Moors be saying crazy stuff in the comments. I shouldn't allow it to bother me, so guess what I try to do? Ignore it. If I don't want them to do that, then I wouldn't make videos public. I would just make private videos and talk to myself. But I want conversation to be had. Unfortunately, people like negative conversations. But there's a lot more people that enjoy the subject matters of the things that I discuss because for whatever reason. Anyway, where was I? We were created weak, which means we're not perfect. We are perfected. Oh, now here's where I was going with this. 41:21. 41:21. That is not it. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. 3:28. 41:21 was for this. 44. 3. 42. Say 41:21, right? 41:21. What is the life of such a man but the phantom of a dream? And then 3:185. 185. Every soul will taste death, and you will only receive your full reward on the day of judgment. Whoever is spared from the fire and is submitted into paradise will indeed triumph. Whereas the life of this world is no more than delusion of enjoyment. Life is but the phantom of a dream. And I went into this already. About Allah being the one. And chapter 35. I went over that already, but we'll do it again. 35. There's but one Allah. And then 72:18. Why does this keep doing this? I believe you get the point. If this keeps messing up, I'll just stop using this. 72:18. The places of worship are only for Allah, so do not invoke anyone besides Allah. Let's see. What do I see here? There's only but one Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. The Son is not Allah, but worship him not. Worship not the Son. Why? Because it's just an instrument of Allah. To the one who is supreme, most wise, and beneficent, and to him alone belongs worship. Worship are only for Allah. The places of worship are only for Allah. To the one who is supreme, most wise, and beneficent, to him alone belong worship, adoration, thanksgiving, and praise. $671. See if I can address more comments while this is loading. Someone said, I've learned so much just from this live that other Moors say not to study from the Quran. Well, this is why we have to look at what our prophet said, not what other people are saying. Because there's a theme that is explained throughout all of the holy books. That the prophets come, they say something, they die, and then the people change what they said. So it's very important to read what the prophets left, so that way we can see for ourselves. This is why they say the priesthood is dead. Why? Look at the Grand Sheiks in this movement not telling you this. The priesthood is dead. Grand Sheiks drinking and smoking and then justifying it. The priesthood is dead. Grand Sheiks telling you not to read the Quran when the Prophet said, read it. From a religious, philosophical, or literary point of view, read it. They're telling you not to read it. The priesthood is dead. Don't follow these people. Don't. You can get information from people and then cross-reference that information to see if it's true. Right? Ask them, should we invoke other than Allah, those idols which cannot benefit or harm us, and turn back to disbelief after Allah has guided us? Don't we say, Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, Allah is our guide? If we do, we will be like those disoriented by devils in the wilderness, while their companions call them to guidance, saying, come to us. Say, O Prophet, Allah's guidance is the only true guidance, and we are committed or commanded to submit to the Lord of all worlds. Establish prayer and be mindful of Him. To Him you'll be gathered together. Worship Him. Okay, let's see if it mentions anything else. All right, He sets bounds to the ocean. He tells storms to be still. He shakes the earth and nations tremble. The wicked are dismayed. He called forth worlds by His mouth. He's the creator of all worlds, right? Right. The Lord of all worlds. Yep, that's there. He's omnipotent. Yep. He's wise. Yep. We all conformeth to Allah's will. We all conform to His will. Isn't that submit? Yep, submit. Yep, that's conforming to someone's will, submission. In the depth of his mind, he revolveth all knowledge. He's all knowing. I think that was here. Lords of the worlds. He's all knowing. I mean, that's throughout the entire Quran that he's all knowing. So I shouldn't have to show you the exact verse where the Quran says Allah is all knowing. I'm pretty sure you know that. The thoughts of thy heart are naked to his view. That's throughout the whole Quran. With respect to his prescience, there's nothing contingent, which means there's no happening, there's no circumstance, there's nothing accidental, right? His knowledge transcendeth our conception. Pay therefore to his wisdom all honor and veneration, and bow down thyself in humble and submission, obedience to his supreme discretion. Bow down ourselves. Bow down. Isn't that what the other verse said? It says, bow down to him. Establish prayer. Be mindful. Bow down. Isn't that called ruku? Ruku, when you bow in salah, that's called ruku. When you put your forehead on the ground, that's called sujud. Isn't that bowing? What else we got? 2277. And more should love this one because it's 2277. Moors love when numbers repeat themselves. They should love this verse. Oh, 2277, spiritual numbers, spiritual 2277, 20. They should love this. They should eat this up. Let's see if they do. Or the hypocrites. Let's see. All believers, bow down. 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 All believers, bow down, prostrate yourselves, worship your Lord, and do what is good so that you may be successful. Pay therefore to his wisdom all honor and veneration, and bow down thyself in humble and submissive obedience to his supreme discretion. And in his laws he hath ordained as the rule of life. And do what is good, so that way you may be successful. Praise his goodness with songs and thanksgiving. Aren't you supposed to, in a melodic fashion, recite the Quran? Aren't you supposed to meditate in silence? It's called dhikr. Aren't you supposed to think about Allah? Aren't you supposed to do that? With gratitude and acknowledgement? Aren't you supposed to let your lips speak praise? Alhamdulillah. Let the actions of thy life show the love of his law, which is what? Which is what? Where's the word? Where's the word? Where's the word? Which is what? Live by his law. Think not, O bold men, because thy punishment is delayed, that the arm of Allah is weakened. Neither flatter thyself with hopes that he winketh at thy doings. His eye pierceth the secrets of every heart. Let's see if we see that in the Quran. What happened? Whether you conceal what is in your breast or reveal it, Allah knows it. Let's see if that matches up. His eye pierceth the secrets of thy heart. Yeah. Fear Allah. Let's see if that's in the Quran. Verses about fear of Allah. Let's see if this exists. He who fears Allah will be remembered, while he fears Allah, who feared the most merciful unseen and came with the heart returning. Enter in peace. This is the day of eternity. and cause not corruption upon the earth after its reformation. Invoke him in fear and aspiration. So yes, fearing Allah is within both Qurans. Right. Therefore, all the days of thy life, and walk in the paths which he hath opened before thee. What does that mean? That means he tells you to live a certain way, so walk in that path. Let prudence admonish thee, let temperance restrain, let justice guide thy hand, benevolence warm thy heart, and gratitude to heaven inspire thee with devotion. Gratitude to heaven inspire thee with devotion. The akhirah, the hereafter. Think about that. These shall give thee happiness in thy present state, and bring thee to the mansions of eternal felicity in the paradise of Allah. This is the true economy of life. And didn't Allah say in his Quran, he did not create man and jinn except to worship him? So now when Moors try to lie to you and say that these are two different books with two different religions, I just showed you word for word where the same words and the same teachings are in both books. And that is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali said what? This book is the uniting with the Holy Quran of Mecca. For what? To bring us Moors back into the fold of Islam, knowing that we are descendants of Moab. Who is Moab? The grandson of Lot. Who is Lot? The nephew of Abraham. So that way we can see ourselves in these books. We know our ancestors were talked about in these books. We know our ancestors practiced what was practiced in these books. That's why I showed you the Moorish leader's historical message to America from the Prophet himself, where he specified that the Moors of Al-Andalus were in fact Mohammedans. And if you want to learn more about Moab and Lot, go to riseofthemoors.org. See right here, riseofthemoors.org. I'm not going to charge you for nothing. Watch this. Riseofthemoors.org. I was putting my mouse on the wrong thing. You can see that, right? Yeah, riseofthemoors.org. This is free. This right here is Arabic. It says Lot and Moab in Arabic. Lut wa Moab. Lot and Moab, the identity of the Moor. You can click on this right here and download it. It should pop up as a separate PDF. 22 pages of free information. Let me move this. I don't know where to put it. Let's put it right here. 22 pages of free information. Oh, side note, I went, when I went over this last time, I clicked on a link that didn't work. And I'll show you its corrected source right now, because I said I would. It's the Jewish, so Ammon and Moab in Jewish sources. So this link does not work right here. Watch, at least it didn't work last time. It brings you here. But I found it again. Well, first of all, let me show the picture in my phone so that way you see it's the same exact link that was given to me when I looked it up. Because I screenshot it first. Here it is. Oh no, that's something else. One second. I have a lot of screenshots from a lot of research. Okay, here it is. Ammon and Moab in Jewish sources. Ammonite stands for the Berbers, particularly. I'm not sure if you can see that. Not really, but you see the link right down there at the bottom. It's, let's see. I'm not even gonna look at. I'm gonna highlight it right here, but I'm gonna read it from the phone. This is what it says: D1WQTXTS1XZLE7.cloudfront.net. That's what it says. That's what I put. Right, but here is its corrected thing. I'll type it in. I'll type it in word for word. So this is it. It looks way different on the phone for some reason. And the link is not here for some reason. But the link is available. See, this is fucking confusing. Because on a phone, on the phone, yeah, it's not doing it. On the phone, I'm able to download the PDF. But here, I can't. Let me do this. I'm going to email this link to myself. And then I'm going to see if that works. Now, I could make this a lot easier by just see, it's the same. It's crazy. It's the same thing. By just let me do this. I'm gonna do this. Where is my email at? Of course, it's not signed in somehow. So annoying. Oh, it is signed in. Do this right here. Click on that. Here we go. All right, that worked. All right, so here it is. Exactly what I typed in. See full PDF. Oh, now all of a sudden, it's so stupid. Did it work? I'll just do that. Yeah, on a phone, it doesn't ask all these questions. Let's see. Where is it? I think it emailed it to me. One second. For some reason, this is taking years to just download this thing. Okay, continue. Okay. Jumpthroughhoops.com. On a phone, it's not this hard. All right. So you see exactly what I typed into the search bar. I had to email this link from my phone to my computer, right? Then I had to download full PDF. It asked me for my email. Then it takes you to this. I don't know what this is. Other. Jesus Christ. Other. You don't have to do any of this on a cell phone. But here it is. Let me move my. Oops, not that. Move my camera so that way you can see. So now, oh man, jumpthroughhoops.com. So now when you go to this, Rise of the Moors thing, and you want to make sure I'm not making stuff up, you go to the source. I should be able to control F here. Search. And of course it doesn't pop up. So I'll just go down to where it is. Right, Ammonite stands for the Berbers particularly. Right. Let's see. Keep clicking on the wrong thing. Look at this. I think I just seen that. Why is it not doing it? Oh, now it's doing it. What am I looking for? Moab and Aaron, then also Muslims. It's not showing up. This is crazy. Let's do something else. Maybe I mixed the sources. Who knows? Could be my mistake. Okay. That is. Or there's that. See, this is the crap I'm talking about. So what I probably did was mixed these sources. I probably misquoted this from something else and then put it under this. That's probably what I did. Because if you look here, that's probably what I did. So I made a mistake. And again, this is why I always say, don't believe shit that I say. Look it up and cross-reference it. Because why? Because sometimes human beings make mistakes. And that's fine. I made a mistake. But as you can see, some of it is sourced right. This is just going to be from a different source. Oops. And I just got to find out where. And when I do, I will make the correction. But anyway, other than that, other than the human error, which again, everything I write, cross-reference. If you want to learn more about Lot and Moab, read this. That basically concludes what I wanted to talk about today. The unification of the Holy Quran of Mecca and how the 5 pillars of Islam and the 6 articles of faith are interwoven into the Quran that Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave us. It talks about how we have control over our own soul. Let me go back to my notes. I don't think I. Yeah, I did. 146. We have charge over our own soul. Did I cite that wrong? 164. I read it wrong. And again, we're not. See, this just goes back to prove my point that we're not perfect. We are perfected. We are not perfect. I'm a perfect example of that. All right. Say, O Prophet, should I seek a Lord other than Allah while He is the Lord of everything? No one will reap except what they sow. No soul burdened with sin will bear the burden of another. Then to your Lord is your return, and He will inform you of your differences. So we are responsible for our own soul. I wonder where else it says that. 38. 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 21, well, 38, 12. Suppose not death can shield thee from examination. Think not corruption can hide thee from inquiry. He who formed thee of thou knowest not what. Can he not rise thee from thou knowest not what again? This is us being brought back from the dead. Whatsoever may do good may also do harm. Beware that thou directeth its course to virtue. We direct our body. We make the choice. This is why the Quran constantly says when you sin, you're only sinning against your own soul. You're only affecting yourself. You're only hurting yourself. So when you smoke, that's the sin. The harm is only on to you. You're the one inhaling the carbon, which is poisonous. Carbon monoxide, which is poisonous. You're the one doing it. You're only sinning against yourself. And of course, what I didn't go over is this divine decree. And the reason why I'm going over this is because the 5 pillars of Islam and the 6 articles of faith are intertwined in this. And I'll go over some more of that. Where was I? 951. 951. Nothing will ever befall us except what Allah has destined for us. And then we'll go to chapter 2, verse 7. Chapter 2, verse 7. It is not strange, there are no happenings, law governs all events. So when we talk about divine decree, which is one of the 6 articles of faith that you must believe in to be a Muslim, Moors have to believe in it. When you talk about the 6 articles of faith and you have to believe in Allah, well, the first chapter talking about the creation of man talks about who? Allah. So you have to believe in Allah. You have to believe in divine decree. You have to believe in the angels. Moors don't believe in angels. What? Oh, yes you do. You have to believe in the judgment day. Allah and all master men judge men by what They are. So when more say we're not supposed to judge each other, well, they're not even reading their own book. So Allah is going to judge us. Allah is just and will judge the earth with equity and truth. Let me see. It's the chapter in religion where he specifically talks about we're going to be judged when we die. Pretty sure you know that. So you have to believe in Allah. You have to believe in the angels. You have to believe in divine decree. You have to believe in the prophets. You have to believe, and you have to believe in the books. And there's one other thing I'm missing. Judgment Day, the Day of Judgment. Those 6 things are part of the articles of faith, and I'll show you. And again, I go over this in my book, Muslim versus Muslim. Right? So as a Moor, the 5 pillars of Islam and the 6 articles of faith are enshrined inside of, part of what Prophet Noble Drew Ali left us. So now, these are the 6 articles of faith. Belief in one God. We already seen Allah is the one. We already seen that. Allah is one. Allah is one. We've seen that. We've seen that in the chapter of religion. We've seen that Allah is one. Oops. What did I just do? I'll refresh. One. Allah is one. Why is it doing that? It's looking up every... Okay, there we go. Oh, that didn't fix it. That's even worse. Oh, man. Okay. There's but one Allah. There we go. All right, Allah is one. We have to believe in the angels. I just showed you that. The angels. Believe in the angels. Angels. And then again, never mind. We'll just stick with the Quran. Belief in the holy books. Okay. You can challenge that. Let's see. The book of Allah. Allah will send messengers to open the book. So you have to believe in the books. You have to believe in the books. You have to believe in the prophets. You have to believe in the prophets. You have to believe in the Day of Judgment. You have to believe that Allah will judge you. Allah will judge you. Allah will judge you. Right? So think not, old man, because the punishment is delayed, that Allah is weak. Allah will judge you. Punishment only comes with after judgment. Allah is going to judge you. Didn't Prophet Noble Drew Ali say, let your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds, and when you die, everything will be all right? Allah is going to judge you. And belief in predestination. And we just seen that chapter 2, verse 7. There are no happenstance. All things happen according to law. Who is the giver of law? Allah. Allah knows everything. According to his pre-science, there's nothing contingent. So contingent. With respect to his pre-science, there's nothing contingent. He knows everything. He knows that determination before they're made. Okay, so as a Moorish American, according to your own book, you believe in the 6 articles of faith of Sunni Islam. According to your own book. Okay, well, what about the 5 pillars of Islam? Okay. Testify that there's only one God. We just went over that. We just went over that Allah is the one. We just seen that. So I'm not going to show you again. Unless you want to see it again, put it in the chat if you want to see it again. I'll show you again. I'll show you again. Chapter on religion. What chapter is that? 35? 37. Allah is the one. You have to believe in Allah the one. Belief in Allah the one. To testify that there is no true deity except for Allah. And that Allah is his messenger. I mean that Muhammad is his messenger. Well, if you honor all the prophets, then you have to acknowledge that Muhammad is one of his messengers. To pray. Okay, let's see where it says to pray. Isn't bowing down an act of prayer, an act of worship? So you're told to believe in Allah. You must believe in him, and you must worship him. What else must you do? Pay zakat. What is zakat? Let me copy and paste it. Why do you spell it like that? That which purifies. So you get purified by giving charity. That which purifies, zakat. Charity. So you have to give zakat, you have to give charity. Fast. Let's see if fasting is mentioned in this book. Let's see if fasting. For 40 days, Jesus wrestled with his cardinal self. His higher self prevailed, and he was hungry. He fasted. Make the pilgrimage, the Hajj. Let me see. El Hajj. Let me zoom it for you. On January 8th, Noble Drew Ali was anointed El Hajj. Well, he was born. So he wasn't anointed that on January 8th. He was born January 8th. Prophet Noble Drew Ali was born. And in 1912, he was anointed El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali by the leaders of Egypt, and where? The holy city of Mecca, which means he made what? The pilgrimage. And didn't Prophet Noble Drew Ali say, be like I, the prophet? Now, this part, to make the pilgrimage, is only if you can. Only if you can. So, the 5 pillars of Islam and the 6 articles of faith are enshrined, part of, one and the same as the lessons given in the Holy Quran by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who tells you this is the uniting with the Holy Quran of Mecca, who tells you we're propagating the Mohammedan religion, who tells you to read the Quran of the 200 million Muslims, who tells you this is where we get our authority from, the Holy Quran of Muhammad. So for any Moorish American telling you or disrespecting Islam, or disrespecting Sunni Muslims, or disrespecting the Hajj, or disrespecting Mecca, or disrespecting the Quran of Mecca, or disrespecting Prophet Muhammad, or disrespecting the lessons in the book, they themselves are not honoring anything that Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought or taught. Now let me show you this. We'll go to the Library of Congress for this one. Quran question for Moorish Americans. Where are all the pages at? We'll look at the back. See what the back says. We'll zoom in. The Moorish Science Temple of America, deriving its power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad to propagate the faith of Muhammad and extend the learning and truth of the great Prophet Ali in America. So, deriving its power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad. What is the great Quran of Muhammad? Quran, Arabic recitation, also spelled Quran and Quran, the sacred scripture of Islam. According to conventional Islamic belief, the Quran was revealed by the angel Jibril or Gabriel to the Prophet Muhammad. So, the Quran of Muhammad is this book that was revealed to him by the angel Jibril to Muhammad. Okay. And the Moorish Science Temple of America derives its authority from that book. So what does authority mean? What is authority? What could that possibly mean? Authority. Authoritative passage or statement, book or quotation that settles an argument. Oh, so this would be our stare decisis. Authority, prestige, permission, dignity, scripture, opinion, advice, influence, command, master, leader, author. So the holy book known as the Great Quran of Muhammad is the authority from which Prophet Noble Drew Ali gets his authority. And the Moorish Holy Temple of Science gets its permission, its right, its prestige, its authority. And it's an authoritative passage or statement or book or quotation that settles an argument. So how are Moors supposed to be living? Well, we need to refer to the authority of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And what is that authority? It is the book or quotation that settles the argument. The argument of if Moors should be living like this or not. Well, the book itself is the authority. So if Moors are questioning, should we be practicing the 5 daily prayers? Well, to settle the argument, what book do you look at? Well, the Prophet already told you where he gets his authority from. The Quran of Muhammad. So you would read that book to determine if Moors are supposed to pray 5 times a day or not. I'll zoom in even more. Moorish Science Temple of America. I'll read the top. Our authority. Copy. Book 521, page 579, State of Illinois, Cook County, number 101059005, filed for the record, Corporation Religious Affidavit of Organization, form number 1099, State of Illinois, County of Cook, August 1st, 1928, at 2:52 p.m., and recorded in book number 251, page number 579. I, Noble Drew Ali, the recorder, meaning the grantor, I, Noble Drew Ali, and the recorder is this dude. He's the one recording it. Records the Moorish Science Temple of America, held at Chicago, in the county of Cook, and state of Illinois, on the 20th day of July, 1928, For that purpose, the following persons were appointed sheiks, according to the rules and usage of such Moorish Science Temple of America. Do solemnly swear that at the meeting of the members, this is weird, Noble Drew Ali, Mealy L, Small Bay, Lovett Bay, and Foreman Bay, so these people were appointed sheiks, the Moorish Science Temple of America, deriving its power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad to propagate the faith and extend the learning and truth of the great Prophet Ali in America, to appoint and consecrate missionaries of the Prophet, and to establish the faith of Muhammad in America. To establish the faith of Muhammad in America. What is the faith of Muhammad? Islam. Muhammad and the faith of Islam. To establish the faith of Muhammad in America, in said Moorish Science Temple of America adopted as its corporate name the following: Moorish Science Temple of America, and at said meeting, this affiant acted as presiding officer prescribed and sworn to before me, 20th day of July, 1928, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Roberta W. Connell, Notary Public. So when there's Moors within positions of authority claiming to be sheiks, where does the word come from? Sheik. What word is that? What does that come from? A versatile Arabic title. Oh, it's an Arabic title. Oh. When there's Moors claiming to be sheiks and then disrespecting Islam, you can see that they're hypocrites. Moors claiming to be a sheik, not telling you about Islam. Let's see if it pops up. Sheik. It's sheikh. It's sheikh. The literal spelling, I don't have Arabic keys on my keyboard, but it's, let's see. Al-Arabiya. Where's it at? Yeah, sheikh, right here. The word in Arabic stems from a triliteral root connected with age and aging. Sha, ya, and kha. Sheikh. So it's literally SHYKH. That's what it's literally, that's the transliteration. Sheikh. Shh. I can't click on it. Let me see. Where's it at? Where's that emoji at? Right here. Sheen. Where'd it go? Sheen. Ya. And Kha. 3 letters. SH. Well, this letter makes the sound SH. This letter makes the sound of Y. This makes the H sound. So it's Sheikh. But since Moors don't like their own language for some reason, they say sheik. And if for some reason you spell it how it's originally spelled, they'll disrespect you saying it's not spelled like that. But it is. Because Arabic is over 2,000 years older than the English that we're speaking right now. So be very, 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 very careful with where you get information from. Because for some reason, although Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, there is much wisdom for us to learn, Moors stop with just rhetoric of Moorish science and don't actually cross-reference things in their original languages. They just accept what somebody online told them, and they stay in that lane, which means they didn't even look it up, and then they try to use that same parroted rhetoric to feel as if they're better than somebody else. That is not what this is for, and that is not what this is about. And anyone that does do that is violating the charge of Noble Drew Ali. Period. So there is still much wisdom to be learned by us. By us. By us. Us, Moorish Americans. Us. So let's stop pretending like English definitions is the end all be all of things. And English spellings of things is the end all be all of things. And as if the word ism means Islam is something completely different. When you attach Islam to the suffix ism, you mean it's a practice or way of life. So as opposed to just saying Islam, which means peace, you're saying Islamism, meaning Islam as a practice, or peace as a practice, or peace as a way of life. That's what you're saying. That doesn't mean Islam and Islamism are two different things. Ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Ism is a suffix. Look, it's a suffix. That's all it is. And when you attach it to something, it means distinctive doctrine, theory, or practice. So when Prophet Noble Drew Ali asks us, what is our religion? And the answer is Islamism. That just means Islam as a distinctive theory or practice. That means peace as a specific theory or practice. And what religion is that? Whoever seeks a way other than Islam, it will never be accepted from them. And here it is, right here. Al-Islam. Wa min yabtag gar al-Islam. Right here. Al-Islam. Al-Islam. Islam. Right there. Islam right there. Islam is right there. Islam right there. What else does it say? O believers, enter into Islam wholeheartedly and do not follow Shaitan's footsteps. Whoever Allah wills to guide, He opens their heart to Islam. So the religion of Allah is Islam. That is it. So Islamism is to practice that. Islamism is to practice what He said, what Allah said to do. Not something completely different. And no Moorish American can prove otherwise. The only things they say are bogus claims. They'll say things like, show me a picture of Prophet Noble Drew Ali bowing. That's what they'll say. They'll say things like that. They'll say, show me a picture of Prophet Noble Drew Ali bowing. And then your response should be, well, show me a picture of Prophet Noble Drew Ali with 5 fingers on the left and 2 fingers on the right. Show me where Prophet Noble Drew Ali wrote 5 on the left and 2 on the right. Because I can show you where he said to bow down. It's right there on the screen. I can show you where he said it. Show me where he said 5 on the left and 2 on the right. Show me where he said it. Matter of fact, show me a picture of him doing it. And it doesn't exist. But what does exist is him saying, bow down to Allah. What does exist is him saying that his mission is to propagate the Muhammadan religion. What does exist is him, in his own words, saying, we're going to teach, meaning the Moorish Science Temple of America is going to teach Moors the principles of what was written in the great Quran of Muhammad. Those things exist. Those things are written. Those things can be found. So why dispute over show me a picture of it when he wrote it? And then that tells you exactly who they are. That shows you exactly who they are. That shows you exactly who they are. O believers, enter into Islam wholeheartedly, which means you have to learn to love instead of hate. And do not follow Shaitan's footsteps. Yet the people have divided it into different sects, each rejoicing in what they have. Yet the people divided it into sects, but to us they shall return. Do not divide your religion into a sect. Oh, there's Islam and there's Islamism. The Prophet already came and said, don't do it. And this is why we have the guidance, because people do it. This is why we're guided. This is why we say Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my guide, my protection, and my salvation through His holy Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Not through me. You don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Listen to the Prophet. That's why I'm reading what the Prophet wrote. The Prophet pointed you in the direction of Mohammedism. That's what he did. I didn't do it. He did it. And I'm showing you that he's the one who did it. So why would you listen to Moors that point you in the opposite direction? When all of Islam is to help you. It is us, the human being, that struggles with sin. We struggle on a daily basis with anxiety, with stress, with medical conditions, which is why people even claim to smoke in the first place. They have anxiety, so they smoke. When this book tells you how to deal with anxiety, why don't you do that instead? Try breathing instead. This book is to help human beings in our daily plight, our daily struggles of dealing with the lower self. The 5 prayers is to help us fight that. Fight Shaitan, fight the lower self. Prophet Noble Drew Ali asked you, what are some of the names of the lower self? Devil, beast, dragon, Shaitan. So when this book tells you that Shaitan is an open enemy to you, your lower self is an open enemy to you. أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس من الجنة والناس. I seek refuge in the Lord of man, the God of man, the King of man, from the whisper who whispers in the hearts, from jinn and man, meaning human beings will whisper things in your ears. Oh, do this. Oh, commit this sin. Oh, do that. I seek refuge in Allah from those things that whisper in my own heart, and that gets whispered into my ear from other men and jinn. I seek refuge from those things. That's what that's for. Why? Because we're all struggling with, dang, I should do this, this, and this, knowing it's bad. But I want to do it for pleasure. I want to do it for money. I want to do it because it feels good. I need to make money. I need to do this. I need to do that. Fight that. Fight it. How do you fight it? What tools have been given to you to fight these urges, to fight these bad ideas, to fight lust? What tools have been given you to fight Shaitan? What tools have been given you to fight your lower self? What tools has been given you? The tools in this book. And it warns you. This is how Shaitan tricks you. This is exactly the games he plays. He whispers in your heart. He whispers in your mind. Oh, do this. Oh, get angry. Oh, blow up. How do you fight this? How can you master yourself without these tools to fight the lower self? These people are deceiving you into thinking you read about the lower self, you read the phrase higher self and lower self, and then boom, you made it. No, absolutely not. You're not going to sit here and tell me that there's a Moorish American out there who has a title, yet they drink and they smoke, and then claim that they are themselves their higher self. Why would the higher self need cannabis? Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu takila wa tutil kafirin wal munafiqin. Do not be like the disbelievers and the hypocrites. That is hypocritical to say, I am my higher self. Watch me smoke this blunt. Nothing about that is higher self. Not one thing about it. Does that make that person bad? No. I'm just showing you the hypocrisy. I'm showing you what the Quran warned us about. Don't be like that. Don't say to your spouse, I love you, and then you punch her in the face. That's not love. Nothing about that is love. And the word in the Quran that they translate as hit does not mean is darb. Darb means to separate, to strike. Like when you go on strike, you don't punch your job in the face. Your job is not a real thing. You can't punch a job. You don't punch your work in the face. You don't punch your boss in the face. You separate yourself from the labor. That's a strike. So in the Quran, when it says to you that if you're disputing with your wife, you try to speak first. If speaking doesn't work, then you leave the house. You leave the home. Why? Because we all have limitations. Both men and women have limits to their emotions. To a point where, okay, I'm getting to the point where I can't control myself. I love my wife. I love my family. I love my children. I fear Allah. Let me leave the house before I hit my wife. That's darb. That's leaving. That's strike. You strike your wife. You go on strike. At first, it tells you don't sleep in the same bed. Sleep in a different room. Then it says if that doesn't work, darb, leave, go. Walk away, take a break. Come back home, take a break. Calm down. That is our obligation as men. That's the guidance the Quran gives us. And if this is how dangerous it is. Look at my Instagram. I don't know if I deleted it, but for those who know, you know. I was speaking to a Moor with a title saying, aren't men supposed to protect women? This individual said they grew up in an era where everyone had to defend themselves. What? You expect a woman to defend herself? You don't feel obligated as a man to want to protect your mother, your aunts, your grandmother, your daughter, and your wife? You don't feel that obligation? Well, if you don't feel that obligation and you need guidance, guess what? This book tells you that that is your obligation. It's dangerous to listen to people like this. It is dangerous, which is why we are where we are as a people. Because the priesthood is dead. So, since the priesthood is dead, you seek guidance from Allah alone. Allah guides whom He wills. Even with this video, I'm talking about Islam. My only duty is to give dawah, to give the lessons. Whether you follow or not, that's between you and Allah. Allah can guide you, not me. I can't guide anyone. I myself am seeking guidance from Allah. Who am I to guide you? Allah knows whom best to leave His message with. So again, nothing about Islam is bad. So why would a Moor encourage you not to practice it? Can't say it allows the hitting of women. I just went over that. Ask these Moors that tell you these things to translate what these words mean. And then they will reveal to you that they don't even study the language of their ancestors. They don't even study it. They'll parrot Moorish Latin, Moorish Spanish, Moorish Arabic, but they don't know it. They'll parrot it to make it seem like they know something. But ask them if they know the language. Ask them to write the alphabet for you. Ask them to do this. Ask them, oh, okay, what letter is this? Ask them what that letter is, and they can't tell you, but they can't even tell you what this letter is right here. They can't tell you what that letter is. They can't tell you what that letter is. They can't tell you what this word is, but they're telling you what the message is. How are they telling you this is dogmatic? They don't even know what the word is. What they're doing is they're relying on English translation, which has been flawed at times, various times, and they're telling you that this translation is what it means. No. In order to get the meaning, you have to know the language, not what language it's translated in. Well, then how do you begin to learn the language? By studying the language. And then learning the difference between a seal, the word seal, and the word last. And then you wouldn't need to listen to anybody and debate what means what. You don't need to. You can figure it out yourself. Isn't that Allah guiding you through knowledge? Isn't that exactly what that is? I mean, I'm asking myself, and the answer is yes. I myself ask, how do I know if I'm guided by Allah? I just answered it. This is a question I've been asking myself. Through knowledge, that's how you know. Isn't it a command by Allah to seek knowledge? Let's do this instead. How about let's do this instead? Seeking knowledge is an obligation on every Muslim. Whoever travels in the path in search of knowledge, Allah will make easy for him a path to paradise. Verily, the angels lower their wings for the seeker of knowledge. The inhabitants of the heavens and earth, even the fish in the depths of the water, seek forgiveness for the scholar. The virtue of the scholar over the worshipper is like the superiority over the moon over the stars. The scholars are the inheritors of the prophets. They do not leave behind gold or silver coins, but rather they leave behind knowledge. Whoever has taken hold of it has been given an abundant share. The virtue of the scholar over the worshipper is like my virtue over the least of you. Verily, Allah, His angels, the inhabitants of the heavens and earth, even the ant and his hole, and the fish send blessings upon the one who teaches people what is good. What about that is dogmatic? As a matter of fact, what is dogma? What is dogma? What is dogma? Let's see, dogma. A settled opinion, a principle held as firmly established. So it's held as firmly established. It doesn't mean it's firmly established. It is an opinion. Literally, that which one thinks is true. Right? So we know dogma, dogmatism. Dogmatism is to accept something that can't be challenged. Read, O Prophet, in the name of your Lord who created humans from a clinging clot. Read, and your Lord is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught humanity what they knew not. Most certainly, one exceeds all bounds once they think they are self-sufficient. Let me see. And I'll just tell you what I'm looking for. The Quran constantly says, this is for those who think. This is for those who reflect. Did you then think that we had created you without purpose? What just happened? Do they not then reflect on the Quran? Do they not ever reflect? Do they not reflect on the Quran? Have they ever reflected? Those who reflect? Surely in this are signs for people who reflect. We set forth such comparisons for people so perhaps they may reflect. What is reflection? Reflect. Reflect, to turn. To shine where no reflect is. But reflection. It's probably going to still deal with mirrors. Reflection. We already know reflection means to think. Like I said, when certain Qurans will translate certain words differently. The Qurans that I've read multiple. Some of them say this is for those who think. This is for those who reflect. This is for those who use reason. So the standard established in the Quran itself is against dogma. So how could a Moor then tell you this is dogmatic when the book it commands you to think, it commands you to reflect, it commands you to ponder. Why are they so against you thinking? Why are they so against you pondering? Why? Why don't they want you to think about this? Because then you'll start to see who's who. Just like Tashriq Bey explains the ones that don't teach about civics, there's those who are not teaching you about the propagation of the Mohammedan faith. They'll teach about civics, but they'll keep you away from everything else. Why? I'll tell you why. Here's a similitude as to why. It takes work, and I gotta go soon because it's time to pray. It takes work to memorize the Quran. It takes work to learn this language that you don't speak. It takes work to research on Lot and Moab and the true stories behind who they are, because the Christians say Lot had sex with his daughters. According to all Islamic narrations, he did not do that. It takes time to find these things. It takes time to research and look through all these writings and ponder on the fact that there's a whole wealth of knowledge that you don't even have access to because it's not even in English. Which means what? You have to study another language, which takes time. These people want to be your leaders now, the blind leading the blind. That's why they discourage you from expanding your knowledge base. When your prophet told you to read the book, it was a command. Why are they keeping you away from it? What is so important about this book that they're trying to keep you away from it? And you will see, word for word, the same excuses that Moors say today about many things. The people were saying back then about many things. Moors will condemn the practice of Islam and talk about ancestor worship. That is exactly what they say in this book. We found our forefathers doing X, Y, and Z, which is why we do it. That's exactly what they said to Abraham when he said, worship Allah. They said, no, we found our forefathers. We found our ancestors doing what we're doing now. That's what Moors say today. That's why they don't want you to know. Because they're saying that the shaitan makes them say the same thing that they said 1,400 years ago today. Beyond for it, because we're talking about the time of Abraham. That's around 850 BCE. And you'll see, oh, so-and-so talks like this. So-and-so says stuff like that. Oh, I see what's happening here. Let me back up from these people. Let me unfollow these people. Because I see what's happening. Oh, they manipulate through emotions. Oh, I see what's happening. Let me back away. Oh, they'll send their little minions to send comments because they won't say it themselves. Oh, let me back away. I don't want any parts of that. To you, your way, to me, mine. I don't want any parts of that. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm striving to be. I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like that. I want to be like those who are rightly guided by Allah. This is part of Al-Fatiha. This is part of it. Sirat al-ladina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. Sirat al-ladina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Guide us on the path of those who earned your favor, not those who earned your wrath, lest we will be lost. We will be misguided if you don't guide us. Guide us to the truth. Why? Because me as a man, I am subjective, not objective. I'll commit sin because I like it. Whereas you, the creator of all things, don't commit sin, so you guide me. Okay, don't do this because it's bad for me. All right, it's bad for me. I won't do it. How many times have we had a drink because it tastes good? Oh, we got a little tipsy. It makes us feel good. What about that is good to us? Nothing. Read the statistics on how many crimes are committed because of that. Because of drinking impairs your judgment. That is a scientific fact. That is a fact that's what that does. Look how many crimes are, listen to the rappers. What are they telling you? I was high off of this. I was drunk off that. Had the little homie slide because he was drunk off this. What about that is good? Feels good. Oh yeah, drunk, get tipsy. Oh yeah, I feel great. Liquid courage, you feel good. Oh, since I feel so good, I could beat anybody. I could fight anybody. You end up fighting the biggest dude in the world. He punches you to death. What about that is good? Verily, you may like a thing that is bad for you and hate a thing that is good for you. That is proof that we struggle with objectivity. So we listen to the one thing that is completely objective, and that is the creator of all things. And the creator of all things says, do this, don't do that. It doesn't matter if you like it. It doesn't matter if it feels good. Don't do it. That is real guidance. That is true guidance. That is objective guidance. And there is nothing and no one in existence that can be 100% objective except the creator of all things and that which he decrees to be so. And this is why the creator of all things, knowing our weakness, sends us men that look like us, who have the signs of prophethood, of upright moral character. That's number one. Purity of heart, that's also number one. Who's not asking his own people for anything, that's also number one. Who's telling his people to worship that which created all things, which is also number one. These are signs of the prophets. Signs of them. And then those who study what the prophets brought are the inheritors of the prophets. That's exactly what the prophet said. Be the scholars, study what they said because it means something. You were lost without it. How many people you see drinking and partying at the club, right? And then, oh yeah, they look lit at the club. They look lit at the party. And then 2 days later on their Instagram is, oh, I'm so sad. Oh, woe was me. I thought you was just having fun. I thought all that drinking and smoking was bringing you joy. But no, the lower self shows you the red apple that looks so delicious, and you bite into it and it's bitterness and gall. We need guidance. We were created weak. That's what it is. Think about the hardships in your life. How did you get through them? Contemplate. Allah literally says, I created man from the wombs of his mothers, creating nothing. Then I gave him speech and knowledge and thinking that he might be grateful. How many of us are grateful for the fact that we can think? You ever seen someone that has a mental illness? Don't you feel bad for them? Shouldn't we be thankful that we weren't born in that condition? Don't you see people who are homeless and you live in a house? Shouldn't you be thankful for that? Shouldn't the rich feel an obligation to help the poor? Isn't that exactly what Islam commands? Don't we see that from the companions of the Prophet? Prophet Muhammad was rich. He married Khadijah. She was rich. Abu Bakr was rich. Where did their wealth go? To the orphans, to the hungry, to the homeless. That's where their wealth went. It didn't go to, let me buy 10 Bugattis. It didn't go to, let me buy a $1.2 billion house. Look at Prophet Muhammad's house. Let's look at it. Don't worry about the typos. Let me bring it back up. 1 second. Let me bring it back up. He had 9 wives, 9 of them, and they all lived in similar conditions. Small houses. Let me spell it right. Look at this. Look how small this is. This is his house. He was rich. Khadijah was rich. He was married to her. She died. He inherited the business. He was rich. That's how small his house was. He was modest. He was rich and he gave charity. He was rich and he fed the poor. He was rich and he made sure to marry widows. Why? because their spouses were dead. He didn't say, oh, let me marry this 20-year-old. Let me marry this 18-year-old. She's fresh and she's of age. And no. There was a need in society, and he dealt with that need in a halal way. These widows lost their husbands and they have children that need taken care of. Let me be a man and step up. We're at times of war where men are being thrown in jail, men are being murdered. Let me be a man and step up. This is what they lived in. All 9 of his wives. Small apartments. Yet here we are today. Oh, I need a white picket fence. I need 2-3 cars. You got to make 18 figures a year. Who are we? In poverty, thinking like this. Under colonial occupation, where our men can't be men, where our men can't rightly provide, where it's illegal to have 2 wives, but completely okay to cheat. It's written in the laws. Look it up. In most states, bigamy is illegal. Bigamy means you have 2 wives. It's illegal, written in the laws. Well, how come it's not written in the laws that cheating is illegal? When bigamy solves the problems that these people were having, single mother households, it solves the problem. I mean, that's just one of the problems that it solves. It solves many problems. Part of civil punishment was to free slaves. How many people sitting in jail right now? I've been in jail with people. Their bond $100, they can't afford it. That's a slave that could be freed. But Moors don't live by these principles because they don't believe in it. Islamism. Ask them, what are the tenets, principles, foundation, articles of faith of Islamism? And they can't tell you anything except higher self and lower self. They don't tell you how to live your life on a daily basis. They don't tell you how to get married in the rules for divorce, in the rules for marriage. They can't tell you that within their made-up religion. They don't tell you the importance of taking care of orphans in their made-up religion. They don't tell you the importance of the rich having a greater obligation to take care of those who are not within their religion. Because it doesn't exist. Think. The religion of Islam is for those who think. And like I said, it's time to pray. Peace, Moors. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully I've been able to properly show you that the teachings of the books are identical and there is not one thing that is different. And if there is, then it is not Islam, and it's probably something that somebody altered after the Prophet died. Think, Moors. Remember, the Prophet said, if I can get you to think, thinking for yourselves, you will save yourself. This book tells you what to do when you're oppressed like we are right now. This book tells you what to do when someone is forcing their tyrannical laws on you. It tells you what to do. It tells us, it gives us the answers. We're just not living by it, which is why we haven't gone anywhere. Peace, Moors. All praise due to Allah, the creator of all things. And if you think that's dogmatic, you might want to reread your Quran that your prophet knows.